You know, the funny thing about control is that nobody really thinks about it until they lose it. Hi, everybody. I'm Rached, and I'm an engineer at Fabrix AI. Last time, we talked about agentic data federation and how it helps you build an enterprise ontology, giving agents a map of the enterprise data landscape so that they can navigate instead of wander. Today, I want to shift gears because everything we've talked about so far has been trying to address capability, making agents capable. And capability is necessary, but not sufficient, as we like to say in philosophy. Now, remember, we started this conversation about trying to close the gap between POC agents and production agents. Now, here's the thing. When you're doing a POC, almost none of what I'm about to talk about matters at all. You're running the agent yourself. You're watching its every move. If it does something weird, you restart. There's no real budget at stake yet. So people will defer most of this until later. Well, and then the training wheels come off, or as often happens, the wheels go flying off. I think this gets things backwards. Imagine designing a car and saving the cockpit, the dashboard, the steering wheel, the brakes, the airbags, and the gas cap for the end. That's a failure mode. It's a failure that happens at conception. People do this with agents. You have this wildly successful demo, and then you set them loose, and suddenly you need to know what the heck's going on. You need to know what it's doing. You need to know what it's costing, who's allowed to invoke it. Are they doing things they're permitted to do? You need to protect your systems from bad inputs. You need to have approval workflows for actions that are too consequential to let them happen completely autonomously. You need scheduling, you need event triggers, you need version control, you need to be able to track changes, you need to be able to understand which changes help and which changes hurt. You need to be able to go from dev to prod. None of that was in the POC. So what happens? People go shopping for third-party tools and open source solutions for cost control and observability and guardrails, and they pay an integration tax because none of these pieces were designed to work with one another, and you create this Frankenstein control plane, and you wonder if it's going to turn out. How do you squeeze in guardrails after the fact? I don't even want to tell you what I've seen. But at Fabrix, because we've been building operational intelligence systems for a really long time, we think this is table stakes for agents. We call it AgentOps. And it's not bolted on. It's part of the platform from the ground up. So what does it cover? Observability. Every conversation, every tool call, every token, every dollar, right there where you're managing your agents. Cost control with limits you can actually enforce, not just report on. Event-driven triggering and scheduling integrated with observability so every run is traceable. Authorization that separates what the agent can do from what a particular user is allowed to do. Guardrails that catch bad inputs before they consume tokens and do damage. And human-in-the-loop workflows for actions that are too consequential to run autonomously. A grafted control plane has seams. Seams are where things fail. Remember those 16 failure modes I mentioned in a previous video? We think AgentOps is what you need in order to avoid several of them. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people talk about agent observability and the agent control plane. We're not the only ones. But what I'm trying to express here is that it's extremely important for those capabilities to be built in from the day one, rather than something that you come in and add to your agents after you've done some sort of proof of concept. If you don't build your agents on top of a platform that already provides these things, you're very, very unlikely to be successful when you go to production. But you know, there's one more thing that I often see even seasoned agent developers forget about, which is not only that you need visibility into the moving parts, but you need to back up and see how good of a job is this agent doing at the business outcome analysis layer. Is it doing a good job? Is it acting in accordance with policy? Is it learning from its mistakes? That's what we're going to talk about next time. A production agent, if we're going to think of it as a digital worker, needs to have its work evaluated. And an agent that doesn't get better over time is one that's slowly getting worse. It's going to be a good one. I'll see you next time.